What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ review. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties there at first, so I apologize for that. So thank you for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that I love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. And right now I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 1. So 3 episodes are out now. The first episode was over an hour. It was almost like a mini made-for-TV Star Wars movie that introduces us or reintroduces us to the Bad Batch. And then we get into our more traditional 20-some minute episodes for episode 2 and episode 3. So, the Bad Batch was introduced to us in season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. I wasn't really a big fan of those episodes, but I was still curious to see how they would structure a show based on a bunch of clone troopers. Now granted, they are not your traditional clone troopers, but I was still curious at how they would structure a show based on clone troopers. And really, they've done a good job so far at, number 1, establishing who they are, and number 2, what they are, and number 3, what they're doing. To be fair, they've done a really good job with all that. Now, let's just say this. Disney, Lucasfilm, has gotten their mileage out of Order 66. I mean, the Order 66 has popped up in several Star Wars stories now, and it just seems to be one of those things that just keep popping up. It is this completely iconic moment in Star Wars history. So I get that. But it's something that we're all very familiar with now. Now, yeah, it's fun to see things that we're familiar with from different angles, from different perspectives, different stories, smaller stories that are happening within the grander scale. And that's really what this is. This opening of the Bad Batch, it really shows us a smaller story of Order 66 that's taking place within the whole grand context of Order 66. So obviously we're gonna see familiar faces pop up. This is a story that takes place after the Clone Wars. In some ways, probably immediately after Star Wars Episode 3 is when this is taking place. And we're seeing the universe, we're seeing the galaxy shift from the Republic to the Galactic Empire. But we're also seeing the Galactic Empire shift from the Republic to the Galactic Empire. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed is exploring how we've gone from clone troopers to stormtroopers. And it was one of those things I never really needed an explanation on. Like, I've never really been thinking to myself, gee, I wonder how the Empire went from clone troopers to stormtroopers, or I wonder why they did that. That's not something that I've ever really contemplated a whole lot. I just kind of took for granted that it happened. But now seeing it play out, it is rather interesting. And it's been one of my favorite components of this show so far, is seeing kind of the Empire become the Empire that we recognize. It's also been fun seeing faces pop up that we recognize. Palpatine. Why is his name Kanan? I was gonna say, why is his name escaping me? Kanan pops up. Saw Gerrera pops up. Several characters that we know. Grand Moff Tarkin pops up. Actually, Grand Moff Tarkin has a rather significant presence so far. So we're seeing these characters pop up that we know. We knew this was going to happen because it takes place in an established time period. And even though it's a galaxy, the Star Wars galaxy is this entire galaxy, it's very small. You can't step outside of your sand igloo to get some blue milk without running into somebody from the Star Wars universe. You just can't. So it makes sense that we're running into people that we recognize. I like the characters in the Bad Batch. I like who they are. I like that each clone kind of has their own distinctive personality based on genetic anomalies that makes them their own people. I like the fact that that they're not programmed to automatically follow orders like a lot of the other clones were, and I like the fact that they're actually taking the time to establish that. I'm not a big fan of the Omega character so far, though. I don't hate her. I just feel like oftentimes in these cartoons, there has to be a character that the kids can identify with. You know, be it in the Clone Wars, you had Ahsoka, who I believe that was there for the kids to identify with. And you know, in these cartoon iterations of Star Wars, you've got characters that the kids have. They are there for the kids to identify with, and that's definitely Omega. And she is especially needed here because even in the Clone Wars, fans, the kids can be like, I know Anakin, I know Obi-Wan, I know Yoda. No kids know these characters unless they were big-time Clone Wars fans, or at least specifically fans of Season 7. So, Omega seems like that throw-in character who is like, here kids, here's somebody that you can root for. So, it just hasn't felt... Omega didn't ever feel real... authentic to me. It felt kind of forced. The character felt kind of forced. Now, maybe I'll change my mind on the character as the season progresses, but right now, my thoughts on Omega is the character seems kind of forced, kind of shoehorned in there for the kids. That being said, I've really liked all the stuff on Kamino. I think that they've nailed Kamino, especially with the leader, what's the leader's name in Kamino? The Prime Minister of Kamino. I've especially liked the Prime Minister of Kamino. Definitely harkens back to Attack of the Clones. All of it feels very authentic to Attack of the Clones, which I like. I like the fact that Disney is still embracing the prequels. You know, I remember I tell people that when I was a kid, the prequels came out when I was in high school. And I remember they got a lot of hate. They got a lot of hate. It really divided Star Wars fandom. But now, it seems like they get a lot more love than they do hate. It seems like the prequels now are a pretty generally accepted portion of Star Wars mythology. And now it's the sequels that everybody's hating on. So I don't know. I just find that interesting. And I find it even more interesting if 20 years from now, the sequels are going to be embraced like the prequels are now. Because the kids who are watching the sequels now, that's their Star Wars. So in 20 years, will they be embracing the sequels the way that today's older kids, high school, college kids are embracing the prequels? I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I'm telling you, I teach high school. My kids love the prequels, especially Episode 3. My kids love Episode 3. So I think that's interesting. So far, the Bad Batch has been pretty good. Pretty good. I want them to get a little more into the main narrative. Not too sure what direction they're going in yet, but it's only the 3rd episode, so, you know, there's still time to develop that. But it's been giving a lot of background information about the Star Wars galaxy that I gotta admit I'm really enjoying. So far, the Bad Batch is a win for me. And I'm hoping that it stays that way. So what do you think of the Bad Batch, the first 3 episodes? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your take on it. While you're down there commenting, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I put out a lot of content, and I want to make sure that you're up to date with everything that I'm doing. And as always, thank you so much for joining me right here at the LQ Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky and nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.